Hello everybody and welcome to Rock Solid Productions, where in this video we have a battle between two 8-bit NES clone titans, between the challenger, the Retrobit RES Plus, and the defending champion, the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. Let's see which one comes out on top. Hey everyone, Gary here from Rock Solid Productions, and here with the second round of our 8-bit HD NES clone battle. If you haven't seen the first one, make sure you check it out right up there, where you can see the HYPERKIN Retron HD battle it out against the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD, where we crowned the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD as the winner between those two systems. It was a great value. It came with two controllers versus just one. It was less expensive. The video was better quality. The audio controllers were all about the same, but we deemed this our winner between this and the Retron HD. Now we have a new challenger on the block, and this is the Retrobit RES Plus. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you check out our review, also right up there for you. So we're going to go through the exact same steps that we did in the first head-to-head battle. We're going to look at design, accessories, the controllers themselves, game compatibility and gameplay, audio quality, and the overall value to try to determine a winner here. Between the two of them, they're both very small. As we put them up side by side, and we'll show you a close-up picture here too, they're about the same size. Now, as we mentioned, first time around, the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD, a little bit uninspired, kind of just a gray box. They're both top-loading systems, so the games load right up top. This does have your power and reset button, player 1, player 2, but they're not labeled. It's a simple thing, but Gamerz Tek has kind of missed the boat on that one there. On the back of it, you have mono AV output, exactly the same as the original NES. You have a barrel type connection for power, and then that all-important HDMI port. The Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD is overall a really solid system, but the Retrobit RES Plus ups the ante just a little bit here. First of all, you have a different color scheme, which you may or may not like. It actually kind of reminded me of Kit from Knight Rider. The only thing that's missing is the little LED swooshing back and forth. Reset is a momentary button, and instead of a button for power, it just has a switch that you slide one way or the other. Now, one interesting thing, when I took mine out of the box, the power switch was actually set to on, so make sure you check your systems when you get it out of the box. The front of the console has two controller ports as well. They are labeled. What a novel concept. Player 1, player 2, these are your regular NES style connections on here, so you won't have any accessory compatibility issues if you already have an NES Advantage and NES Max. Any original Nintendo Entertainment System controllers will all work with this without any problem. Backside, you of course have your HDMI output on here, as you would expect from an HD output system. You also have stereo AV cables, so if you do have a CRT, you can hook it up and get stereo sound out of this. And then for power, you have, you have a micro USB power port on here. What's nice with that is the power output on the wall wart that this comes with is a 1 amp output. My TV puts out more than that. I can actually power this system off of my television if I want to. Color-wise, like I say, I'm not too huge on the red and black. If it was gray and black, or gray and red, I would probably like it a little bit better. But beyond that, overall design, functionality, features, I've got to give a nod to the challenger, to the Retrobit RES Plus. Both of these systems come out of the box really well equipped to perform. They have everything that you need to get up and running, for the most part. And we're going to get into that in a second. So on the Retrobit RES Plus, it does come with two controllers that are modeled after the original NES controller. You can see the shape is very similar. You have your select and start actually in a higher position than on stock. And you also have the BA buttons where they are shaped slightly differently, and they're at an angle upward where the A is higher than the B. Some people may like this, some people may not. We'll get into that when we talk about the controllers. Beyond that, the RES Plus also comes with an HDMI cable, your micro USB power cable, and it comes with the wool wart that you're going to need to plug it into your power source. Now, the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD comes out of the box with your HDMI cable, with your power cable. It does come with two, again, NES-inspired controllers. Here you can see the layout is more traditional. As you can probably see some dog hair floating on here too. Pooches. The layout is more similar to what the original NES controllers were as far as the D-pad here, start and select down below in a lower location. Being A inline, they do have the same shape as the original NES buttons. This is a more rounded type controller too, so it may cause less fatigue as you are playing. But one other kind of sort of big thing, depending on how you're going to play your system, that Gamerz Tek did include with their system that Retrobit did not, is it does include a mono AV cable. So if you are going to hook it up to a tube style or a CRT TV, this is equipped to do so out of the box. You'll actually need to pick up an AV cable separate for the RES Plus if you are going to hook it up to something like that. And simply from the inclusion or the omission of AV cables, we got to give this round to the champ, to the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. Controllers are really something that's a very personal choice. Regardless of what game you're playing, whether you're playing Dr. Mario like I have behind me, Castlevania 3, Contra, any game, the controller is always your interface that you're going to have between yourself and your game. And if the controller isn't comfortable, if it isn't natural, if you've got to think about what you're doing, it actually becomes a bit of a detraction. And that for me is where the Retrobit controller kind of came in. I felt the buttons were very springy and resistive. I also did not care for the higher placement of the start and select button higher. There were more than a few times when I was doing my capture footage and I went to pause the game and I went to hit the start button, which would normally be right here. Well, it wasn't there, it was up above. And granted, I was stopping my recording, so it wasn't a big deal, but I did end up dying a couple of times when that happened. I don't know why they redesigned the position of the buttons as far as the A and the B and the start and select. If there were patent issues that they were trying to get around, they could have done this and left start and select here and I would have been okay. The A being slightly higher than the B wasn't a huge issue for me, quite honestly. It's very similar actually to what the Dogbone controller, which will pop on screen now, or the Super NES Super Famicom controller had, where it's a little bit higher. It didn't bother me, it wasn't a big thing, but it wasn't a good thing either. The edges of the controller a little bit sharper than what even the HYPERKIN Cadet controller has, so it will after a while dig into your hand depending on how you hold the controller, whether you're like this or like I do, like this. So it's okay, but for me, not great. Now, the Gamerz Tek controller I really like. I have since I initially picked it up and started playing with it. The rounded corners, it eliminates any fatigue, again, because of how I'm holding my controller here. Very similar to a PlayStation controller, the original PlayStation controller, not even with the analog sticks, where it was rounded around the edges. I love the fact the A and the B buttons are the exact same shape as what the A and the B buttons were on the original NES. The fact that select and start are just a push button now versus the oval shape, they're round versus oval, doesn't faze me because they're in the right place. The tension and resistance on the D-pad, on the A and B button, they felt great. So for this round, oh, and before I forget to mention, both systems do come with two controllers, which I do appreciate. That was one of the things that we did ding the Retron HD for, was the fact only one cadet, while excellent, was included. But this round I have to definitively give it to the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. Probably the most fun of any of these reviews is just sitting down and being able to play games on these systems. And I gotta tell you, between both systems, they do that really, really well. The color palettes are very similar. If anything, I'd say the Retrobit maybe a little bit closer to original than what the Gamerz Tek HD was, but they're so incredibly close. I did not have any issues with Castlevania. They played great on each system. When I played my Famicom games using my 60 to 72 pin adapter, they all worked great. Really no gameplay issues whatsoever. And unlike the Retron HD, neither of these include a PAL or NTSC switch. So these are for North American NES games only, which is going to cover 95 to 100% of the people out there looking for a system like this. It also, neither one includes a 16:9 or 4:3 switch. My television does that, as you can see here, with the fact that the sides are squared off like a 4:3 type tube TV. So overall, gameplay, color palette and everything, I gotta call this one a push. They're both exceptional. Audio is something that, you know, normally if you have two systems that perform equally, you call them both winners or a tie. In a way, I gotta almost call them both losers here. And this is identical, I'd say, performance-wise with the audio to the Retron HD. They all use similar NES on the chips, and they're all using similar sound systems on board. And none of them do a good job as far as the little things. The coins on Super Mario Bros. Here's the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. And now here's the Retrobit RES Plus. They're both off. And it kills me. It kills me because I know what it's supposed to sound like. Listen to what it sounds like on the NES Classic Edition. That's what the coins are supposed to sound like. That's what the game is supposed to sound like. And while the video looks really good, I'm not a fan of the way the audio quality is on either of them. It's not so much that it detracts. Let me take it back. On Super Mario Brothers, it does detract from the game experience for me because I know it's wrong and it bugs me because I'm anal about stuff like that. When I'm playing games like RC Pro-Am, Castlevania 3, Donkey Kong, those are close enough, quite honestly, that I don't notice it as much. I haven't played those games as much. Well, RC Pro-Am I have, but I haven't played those as much, so it didn't throw me off as much. But both of them are a little bit off compared to original, authentic Nintendo hardware, whether I'm talking about the Famicom, the Sharp Famicom Twin, the NES AV, the Famicom AV, or the NES Classic Edition. So really, it's a tie for me on audio. Value is really tough to determine because you have to figure out, like I said in the original video, what's most important to you. Is the audio the most important? Is the controller, having two controllers versus one? Is the video quality the most important? What do you value the most? For me, I don't want to have to spend a whole lot, and I want to get a lot. You know, it sounds like the impossible, but I will tell you first and foremost, $35, $30. You can't beat those prices right now. For $5 between the two of them, it's almost a push. However, this does have a definitive advantage for the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. First of all, $5 is $5. And if you go to retro game stores, sometimes $5 is another game to add to your collection. Also, the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD does include those AV cables, which the Retrobit does not. If you're never going to use them, it's no big deal. But if you are going to need them at some point in time, then having the AV cables in the box, like the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD does, will make a difference to the value for you. I'm hooking all my stuff up to flat panel TVs, so I'm really not utilizing the AV cables. But the fact that they're in there, it's a nice bonus to have. Don't need it, I'm glad they're there. The controller as well, I do prefer the Gamerz Tek controller to the controller that comes with the Retrobit system. Again, that's a very personal thing, that it's how you interact with your games. So you may prefer the Retrobit controller over the Gamerz Tek controller. Personal preference. But for me, for being $5 less and including the audio video cables, I deem the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD as the better value. Man, at $5 only being the difference between the two of them, these systems came in neck and neck in each and every category. But at the end of the day, I have to say your winner, and still champion of the 8-bit NES clone systems, is going to be the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. Color palettes were about the same as far as the video on both of them, but I thought this was a better value. Aesthetically, yeah, the Retrobit may look plastic-wise a little bit better, but I do like the color scheme better on this. I prefer the controller on this, and again, $5 is $5. Call me cheap if you want to, but here's the cool thing, is if you go with the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD, or quite honestly, if you go with the Retrobit RES Plus, you know what, you're getting a damn good system. And for $5, if you can, even if they were the same price, I'd say it would maybe be a push. Again, I still prefer the Gamerz Tek controller a little bit more, and the fact that this has stereo AV outputs is really cool too, along with the micro. See, there's things that's good about both of them. Like, I love the fact that this uses a micro USB port for power, but it's the little things. And I keep coming back to the system I want to play on time and time again is the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. I'll throw a link in the description down below to where you can pick up either one of these systems on Amazon. Now, I will say, again, if you checked out our original battle between the Retron HD and the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD, the Retrobit would honestly come out ahead of the Retron HD for me as well. If you're looking for another video that actually compares all three at the same time, side by side, I suggest giving RGT85's video a look. He has a really good video. Again, I'll link that to you folks right up there. Great guy. Make sure if you have any questions, you can always ask him down in the comments too. He actually rated the Retrobit as his personal favorite. He found very similar things as far as the color palette, as far as the audio. He liked the controller better on the Retrobit, if I remember right. But he, again, thought both of these systems, much like I do, were definitely better than the Retron 1 HD. Not to say that system is bad, it has its place, but again, they're both less expensive. These both come with two controllers. Neither of them have the 16:9, 4:3 switch or the NTSC PAL switch, but for me, I'm playing US games on a US console. I'm not going for a full set of NES games. These both suit the bill for me just fine. So congratulations to Gamerz Tek for the win. I don't have anything for you, unfortunately, besides just saying, hey, you won, woo! But that's pretty much my opinion. What do you say? What do you think? Make sure to leave your comments down below here. We make sure to read each and every one. Don't forget, too, to like, thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel, too. That way you can be kept up to date anytime that we have new content coming to the page. You can also click the little bell button that'll make sure that you are kept aware of anything and everything we have going on the channel. You can also go ahead, if you do have any comments or questions about the Retrobit RES Plus, about the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD, or anything retro gaming or consumer electronics in general, feel free to email us at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. You can also reach us at Twitter at RockSolidStudios. You can find us on Facebook. You can also support the channel by donating as little as $1 a month on Patreon. Go ahead and visit us at patreon.com/rocksolid. So that's going to do it for our shootout here between the Retrobit RES Plus, a worthy contender, but again, the defending and reigning champion, at least in our book, of the 8-bit NES HD clones is the Gamerz Tek 8-bit HD. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.